Hello and welcome to Community Conversations. I'm your host, Steve Mantis, and it's a pleasure to have my guest today, Chief Georgann Morriseau from the Fort William First Nation. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, great. So, you've been in the news for a while. You were recently elected as chief to the Fort William First Nation. When did that happen?
I was elected in April of 2013, so I've been in office just a little over a year.
So how is it so far?
So far, it's good. I mean, I met with many challenges, but they're good challenges, and it's been quite a learning curve. But I do have, good people and good support to help me through some of those challenges. And when it comes to community-based development and community-based initiatives, it does take an entire community. So it's a challenge, but it's a very good, positive challenge.
Well, already there's so many things I want to ask you, but let's just start before the election. Have you served in public office before? And whether you have or haven't, what is it you want to achieve by serving the community?
Well, I served one term on council for 2 years. And during that term, I had the opportunity to be able to go back to my community and really understand the dynamics within my community and some of the challenges that we're being met with, but also with some of the potential that is right in front of us. And when I saw that, I thought, you know what? Let's really pick this up and let's try and really work on building upon that potential with the community. So after that, as I went through my 2 years and got to learn a little bit more and gained a little bit more experience, I decided, with the help of others, to seek the role of chief. So.
Cool, and you were successful.
And I was successful, yes.
Well, give me some background around Fort William First Nation. Like, we know it's, on the other side of the Cam River. I don't even know if I'm right about that. Kind of size and population.
So the population of our community is, we have 2,100 registered band members with the First Nation, both on and off reserve. Within the community, about 900 to 1,000 that live on reserve, and then, a few hundred that are dispersed amongst, various locations. The landmass, we have a fairly decent sized community, and I mean with the recent settlement of our claims, we were quite successful in obtaining further lands through the additions to reserve. So we managed to get some of those historical lands back to First Nation status, which is, again, that was many years in the making by former administration, and they were successful in doing that. So again, that lends to the overall success of our community. Fort William is a signatory to the Robinson Superior Treaty of 1850, along with 2 other signatories. So, again, being in that role, I see it as having a dual responsibility because, one, I'm not only the chief of my community, but being a signatory, I do have a responsibility to protect our treaty area and assert treaty implementation. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, there's so much, I guess, we could explore a little bit around the treaty, but let's just come back to some of the challenges you saw as in your time as councillor that you wanted to address. So just give me an example of one.
Well, with respect to challenges, I mean, we're met with many challenges, right? And it's about your approach and how you look at those challenges. And, I think the key challenges would be, housing and infrastructure. How do we go about planning for that in the long term? How do we look into self-sustainability as a community and build our community up to a point that they can be self-sustainable, which again is fairly broad, but you do have to look at how you put those pillars in place to be able to accomplish that. So housing being one, I know one of my greatest passions is our elders and our elder center, along with youth encampment or youth facilities, something for our kids to do. So those are 2 fundamental issues that I'd like to continue to focus on. Again, it's not the easiest road ahead, but again, with good people, good elders, we have good youth, we have people that want to be engaged. So it's just drawing upon that and getting them to build that up so that they can be a part of that process.
So let's talk a little bit about the housing piece. Sure. Is there a shortage of housing, and do you have plans on how to address that at this point?
Absolutely. You know, I mean, again, coming to housing shortages on a First Nation, we're not unique. We do have a grave shortage in housing and infrastructure. And what we've been doing as of recent, upon me coming into office, is we've been looking at a longer term plan for housing and infrastructure. What would that look like? We're also looking at how do we accommodate housing and encourage our members to come back home. And before they can do that, they need to be provided with some sort of an opportunity to have access to adequate housing. So currently we're working on a housing model that looks after private home ownership, looks after low income, and looks after social housing needs, which again encompasses, you know, the better part of our community. So you're providing an opportunity for a good number of our community members to be able to engage and come back home.
Now, I'm involved with our local credit union, and we've been in touch with the Assiniboia Credit Union in Winnipeg. Mm-hmm. And they've been supportive of some of the community development activities around housing. And the one I'm thinking about is they helped form a co-op kind of within, I don't know exactly if it's within the Aboriginal neighborhood there, where young people are learning trades and fixing up the housing so that it is, of a higher standard, and then really increasing the housing stock in their neighborhood and gaining skills and employment opportunities along the way. And I went, oh, it's great. You're doing 2 or 3 things all at the same time. Do you guys think about that kind of angle when you look at the housing piece?
Absolutely, you know, and it's always a topic of interest as to how, it's not just about building a house, it's about how you build it and who builds it. And when you're coming from a small community, you want to ensure that you're utilizing all your in-house resources. We have the people to do it, so why not use them? And again, you know, you're kind of met with having to balance wanting to accommodate as much of your community in-house resources with capacity. So how do you blend the two together to ensure that you're training your people, building their capacity, but also raising the bar and raising that standard for your people? Because I don't believe in lowering the bar to accommodate, but I believe in raising the standard and providing the stepping stones for them to reach that level of standard. It takes time, and sometimes it's hard for us to understand that, but at the end of the day, what you come out with is a lot more of a sound model or a sound plan, and you have adequate housing. Because one thing on our First Nations a lot of the time is the inadequacy in terms of the build, because we're trying to build a unit with as little resources as possible. So with respect to our First Nation, we're financially sound, and now it's a matter of trying to look at a wealth management plan in which you're investing your resources back into your community to be able to have, for instance, adequate built homes, and providing the training opportunities for your people to be able to engage in and take part in and participate in.
Great. We're just going to take a short break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.